When you look back at last season and the year that you guys had, I mean, what are your main takeaways from what that group did?
Yeah, we had a great year. I think it was a little bit unexpected. We graduated a pretty good class back in 2000. Well, it had been the 16 season, the 2017 graduating class. We had a lot of great players there, and we had some kids that stepped up that maybe didn't have a lot of Friday night experience, and it was a fun ride. We went 10-2, and the 2 losses to the state champions. So, the only thing you could do maybe a little bit better than that is beat them and get yourself a championship. But it was a fun ride. It was, and these kids did a great job, and we're looking forward to this next season.
Okay. Now, one of your returners, All-State performer, Sam Colterman. I mean, he can do a lot of different things for you. Very productive player. I mean, would speak to his abilities on the football field.
Yeah, Sam's a very, very powerful kid. We play him at guard on our offensive scheme because we like to pull him a lot. I mean, he's probably more suited. Maybe a lot of teams would say, he looks like a fullback, but he's more of a pulling guard for us. We pull him a lot on our power plays and in our sweeps, and he does a phenomenal job with that. Defensively, he's got some natural instincts. He didn't really allude to that too much, but he does have a nose for the football. But his number one thing is he's strong. He's powerful, and I think his wrestling background lends him to where he can get caught into some weird body positioning, but he still has a base and has power to shed, or in some cases make the tackle. And he made a lot of them last year for us. He led our team in tackles, led the team in sacks, set the school record for that, the career record for that, in just his short career. And we're really looking forward to next year and the big things that he has, for us.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the wrestling. He's a state champion. I mean, I know the coaches love to recruit wrestlers. Speak to some of the, how the two sports kind of correlate. What is it about wrestling that helps them on the football field? Yeah,
right now our wrestling program is rolling. I mean, we've got some really, really good wrestlers we have for the last few years, and it's not just a coincidence that our football team has been a lot better in the last few years too. I mean, there's a lot to be attributed to that, and everybody talks about the footwork, the body positioning, the understanding leverage, and all those things pay huge dividends on the football field. But I think the other thing that gets sometimes missed is just the grit or the mental toughness part. And we've got some kids right now that really love challenges. They look at the tough games and they look forward to them. And that has probably paid the biggest dividends. We've got some kids that just, they don't care who we're playing on a Friday night. They just want to strap it up and go and see what happens. And like I said, a lot of that mental toughness is developed out of those kids down in the wrestling room, between November and March. And like right now, we got some really good wrestlers, and they're really good football players for us too. And next year we're hoping that pays big dividends for us.
Good. Now you've had a handful of schools come through, even some Big Ten schools, inquiring about Sam. What have they kind of been telling you that they like about him?
Sam is got an impressive stat line with the number of tackles he's accumulated here, and like I said, his short career, and just really 3 seasons of playing varsity football, and one of those seasons being his freshman year. But he's very explosive and very powerful. And one thing that you're going to turn on the film and you're going to see a kid that can find his way to the football. He's got a motor. He's a kid that also is, like I said, explosive. He might not have a great 40-yard dash time, but he's got a burst, a 10-yard burst where he's blocked over 6 kicks here in just the 3 seasons. And that's something that's pretty impressive with him, is his overall quickness and understanding how to use his body to get to that ball as quick as possible. And those guys like him. The question is his size a little bit, because he's 195, 200, and linebackers this day and age have to be a lot bigger if they're playing on the inside. Or a lot of teams now with the spread stuff, they're bringing those safeties down into the linebacker spot. So there's a little bit of question mark there for him, but I think if he has a great senior campaign here, he's going to be fine, and he'll find a place to play.
Okay. And then what would you like to see him kind of work on, I guess, heading into his senior year?
Yeah, and he talked about his footwork and agility, and those are probably the 2 biggest things he could work on. I mean, not that there's a whole lot of flaws in his game, but he could work on that, his quickness. And his overall speed is probably the one thing where, like I said, a coach will put a watch on him, and it might not wow him. But that's probably the one thing. He's got great work ethic when it comes to the weight room, and he already holds a couple school records in some of our lifts, and he's over a 300-pound clean, and he squats over, I don't know, 460 or something like that. So I mean, he's got great weight room numbers. He just needs to work on the footwork, the agility stuff, and we'll hit some of that this summer. He's going to work on it yet this spring, and I think that's going to be something that really helps him out as he goes through the fall here.
Okay, and then the last thing is kind of what's the outlook of the squad you have coming back next year?
You know, on paper, it doesn't look too promising. I mean, I think there's 3 or 4 returning starters on each side of the ball, and that doesn't look like it's got a great. But the kids we have coming back are high-level contributors. I mean, you got kids like Sam Coulterman and Jack Sutton are both state champion wrestlers. I mean, they're going to be main cogs in what we're doing up front in the offensive line, and Jack plays D-line. Obviously, Sam's linebacker. Our defensive front seven is going to be pretty solid, we think. We've got a lot of young guys coming up that got some great experience last year playing in some big games for us. So, we feel like we've got a good core, a good nucleus of kids coming back. Schedules just came out here a couple weeks ago, and there's it's a new schedule for us. There's some opponents on there that we haven't really seen here the last few years. So some of that's going to take some figuring out, but I think we're going to be all right. I truly do. I like this senior group that's coming in. There's not a lot of them, but they're really good leaders and they're hard workers, and I think they'll lead this team to a pretty successful season.